Ladies and gentlemen, life is difficult, we have inflation, there are many problems around the world, and that's exactly what leads to the escalatory nature of felonies and other crimes. For instance, in the Philippines, if you're following the news, certain drug cartels and people who are part of syndicates and gangs start impersonating angkas or joyride officers and use this as a means to be able to hold people up and even in some instances hurt people and beat them up, or in instances even kill them in an attempt to be able to steal their stuff. The problem here in status quo is that criminals thrive on the indulgence of society's understanding, and we tell you that the criminal justice system is broken and imperfect. The arc of justice is bending too slowly. We are here inside government to properly fix that and be able to prevent crime and to be able to protect the very people who are disproportionately affected by these particular things. Just like what we've seen in the California drug crisis, we start seeing a lot of these crimes, because life is difficult, start escalating in many developed and developing parts of the world, given the rampant nature of human beings and their desperation. What is this debate about? The first thing is what exactly is going to happen. I assume you read the info slide. I don't have to parrot that. But specifically, I want to take note what each of the three strikes intend to do and how this perfectly aligns with the goals of the criminal justice system. The first is, if you do a crime once, okay, you can still potentially be rehabilitated, meaning you're going to be punished normally. But the second time you commit it, we remove that chance to be rehabilitated because you technically have broken that and you've shown that it didn't work or you didn't want to, and now you're going to be punished. That's why in strike 2, we remove the chance of being able to come out from parole or even get rehabilitation. The third one's quite interesting. The point in which you committed a particular violent or serious crime before that and you do a third particular instance is exactly where the scary deterrent of 25 years kicks in. Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake. This debate primarily happens in instances where you commit a violent or serious felony, because we recognize felonies exist on a spectrum. So let's please not make this debate about like, oh, you committed 3 counts of theft, you're gonna get an unnuanced 25 years. We're here to proudly stand inside government to explain that in instances where you did something a bit more serious, probably like violent kidnapping, murder, or in extreme cases of theft, just like what we've seen in El Salvador and some parts of Latin America, with cryptocurrency scams essentially happening, and these people washing their hands clean and getting scot-free because the comparative on their side, absent this more escalatory form of punishment through this particular California strike policy, is a loophole for people to get away. A couple of things in this speech, right? What do we mean by widespread adoption? What we mean by this is we're willing to support its proliferation in all parts of the world where it's applicable. The ultimate goal here, to be the ultimate deterrent to be able to prevent people from escalatory nature of crime and these particular felonies exacerbating. The nuance here, ladies and gentlemen, is breaking apart the way gangs and cartels work, because like I characterized in my pre-oration, they thrive on the indulgence of understanding. Meaning, the preemption I want to make to side opposition or side neg is that it cannot be status quo proportional punishment, because the problem with that is people can do the time, but then they use the already entrenched network that they have to do even more crime later on. Meaning, on our side, the first strike, alright, status quo, it's the same, but the point in which you get into the later strikes prove intent and capacity, which ultimately are a problem. Go for it, ma'am. I'll take your POI.
Alright, do some places require more deterrence of crime than others, and why?
Yes, we think that's true, but the reason why it has to be a widespread capacity is because even if in some instances you're more predisposed to certain crime, we think that this blanket approach that works on California, which has been so particularly drug-ridden with the fentanyl crisis that we see, is a way to be able to not even get to that late stage. Meaning, I understand what you're coming from. You're saying it might be a waste of allocation or resources in instances that are safe. But we tell you, we need to even protect those places even more because we want them to continue being safe. The same way we want to be able to backtrack the fentanyl crisis and drug crisis we've seen plague California and parts of America for far too long, which even start to affect key particular cities like Bogota and other parts of Mexico and Latin America, of which a lot of these drugs even come from, which even lead to potentially more assassinations and killings of even opposition groups and other people getting into that. This is the heart of our case and the very nature of these particular crimes, not being crimes in isolation, but potentially being targeted to something bigger than they are, meaning this isn't just a random drugged out guy, but the chance that this person is part of a syndicate or cartel is exactly what we want to break apart in order to prevent them from doing so. What are the impacts of this, right? The first impact is that because it's staggered in this way and it isn't proportional, we're ultimately able to provide a sense of deterrence. But their side might launch and cast a shadow of doubt and say, what happens in corrupt societies? They might weaponize, they might use this to take out politicians and all these other opposition groups. We think that on all sides of the house that can happen, but uniquely on our side, what we want to be able to do is properly crack down and prevent people from even having their felonies escalate into something more serious and violent. Meaning, this debate again isn't just about committing 3 consecutive crimes which are petty, but the very fact that it's probably anchored in something you did in the past. Meaning, yes, first strike, you serve the time. But in instances where you do something else, is the point in which we take that into account, we show that it's not working, and we give you the time in order to truly protect you and be able to ultimately, more importantly, protect other people from you at the point in which you can't be saved, at the point in which you choose to break the law. And for all of these reasons, we are very proud to open this debate and stand on the side affirmative. Thank you.